On April 15, 2023, the evening around Colvin Hospital in Prayagraj, Uttar Pradesh, was teeming with activity. The wail of police sirens and a heavy media presence filled the air with noise. That night, Uttar Pradesh's notorious strongman, Atiq Ahmed, and his brother, Ashraf Ahmed, were scheduled for a medical examination while in police custody. At 10:36 p.m., Atiq Ahmed, recognizable by his prominent mustache and white headscarf, emerged from a police vehicle with Ashraf. Under heavy police escort, the brothers began to move towards the hospital. Immediately, a throng of media personnel surrounded them, peppering them with questions. However, among the reporters were three individuals disguised as journalists, holding microphones to blend in. As they held their mics, they also drew concealed pistols from their clothing. This entire incident was broadcast live, captivating the nation's attention, as the Uttar Pradesh police had killed Atiq's son, Asad, in an encounter just 2 days prior. From the crowd, a reporter's voice cut through the din, "Why didn't you attend your son Asad Ahmed's funeral?" Atiq Ahmed replied, "I wasn't allowed to go." Following this, one of his associates was asked about Guddu Muslim, to which Atiq's brother Ashraf began to say, "The main thing is that Guddu Muslim." He couldn't finish his sentence. Before he could, the three individuals posing as media personnel pulled out their loaded pistols and opened fire violently on Atiq Ahmed and Ashraf Ahmed. They shot indiscriminately until both brothers lay dead. The sound of bullets echoed not only in that area but also across television screens nationwide. How did three young men, barely in their early 20s, manage to assassinate a notorious 5-time MLA and former Member of Parliament, Atiq Ahmed, and his brother Ashraf, in broad daylight, while they were in police custody and being broadcast live across the nation? This wasn't just a crime, it was a shocking public execution. But who was Atiq Ahmed? What was his story of rising from a humble background to become a feared Bahubali with alleged ties to Pakistan's ISI and Lashkar-e-Taiba, and who ultimately orchestrated his dramatic downfall? Atiq Ahmed was born on August 10, 1962, in Kasari Masari village, Allahabad. His father, Haji Faraz Ahmed, operated a horse-drawn carriage and struggled to support his family of 8. Atiq was the eldest of his siblings, with a younger brother, Khalid Azim, also known as Ashraf, and 4 sisters. Haji Faraz Ahmed had hoped his eldest son would pursue education and secure a good job, but Atiq had little interest in academics, gravitating instead towards a life of notoriety. Allahabad, now known as Prayagraj, was a region where tenders for government jobs were often controlled by local strongmen, fostering an environment where even young boys aspired to become powerful criminals. For Atiq, the shortcut to wealth was through crime, with no regard for murder or abduction. This was evident when, as an 8th grader, he began selling coal stolen from freight trains passing through his area. Atiq's criminal journey began in 1979, and for the next 4 years, he expanded his activities from stealing coal to selling railway scrap and collecting illicit goods. At the time Atiq was making his mark in the criminal underworld, a prominent gangster named Shauq-e-Ilahi, known as Chand Baba, dominated the area. Chand Baba was so influential that nothing moved without his approval. He enjoyed political protection, and the police rarely interfered with his gang. Chand Baba's men carried bombs in their bags, ready to deploy them against enemies if threatened, earning his gang the moniker, Bomb Squad. Atiq Ahmed saw an opportunity to rise in Uttar Pradesh's crime world by joining Chand Baba's gang. However, Atiq was soon arrested in an old case and charged under the National Security Act, NSA, also known as Rasuka. The NSA allowed police to detain an accused for up to 12 months without trial. For a few years, Atiq Ahmed remained with Chand Baba, learning to make bombs, supply weapons, and master extortion techniques. But as his own reputation grew, he began to challenge Chand Baba's authority. By 1989, Atiq knew there couldn't be 2 strongmen in one territory. He orchestrated Chand Baba's murder, gradually dismantled his gang, and took over his entire criminal empire. Once he became an MLA, his power grew exponentially. He instilled such fear in Allahabad that no one dared to contest elections against him in Allahabad West. Booth capturing and fake voting were commonplace during elections. At his mere signal, thousands of young men were ready to kill or die for him. While government corruption was rampant, his reign of terror continued unabated. He would seize properties, belongings, and money from wealthy businessmen and extort protection money from small businessmen, shopkeepers, and builders. No one dared to defy him. As a result, Atiq Ahmed was elected as an MLA from Allahabad West 5 consecutive times between 1989 and 2004. When Atiq became an MLA for the third time, Mulayam Singh Yadav was the Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh. He was actively working to consolidate the support of Yadav and Muslim voters, a strategy known as the MY equation, to maintain his party's electoral dominance. Recognizing the political exigencies of the moment, Atiq Ahmed joined Mulayam Singh's Samajwadi Party, SP. During those days, Mulayam Singh Yadav's government relied on the support of the Bahujan Samaj Party, BSP. However, a rift eventually emerged between BSP chief Mayawati and Mulayam Singh Yadav over a certain issue. Following this, Mayawati withdrew her support, causing the SP government to fall. Enraged, SP supporters, armed with weapons, stormed the Mirabai guest house in Lucknow, severely assaulting BSP members of parliament and attempting to hold Mayawati hostage by locking her inside a room. It is alleged that Atiq Ahmed and his associates carried out this entire act at the behest of Mulayam Singh Yadav, an incident that became infamous as the guest house incident. In the 1996 assembly elections, Atiq Ahmed won on a Samajwadi Party ticket, becoming an MLA for the fourth time. During this period, he married Shaista Parveen, the daughter of a police constable. The couple had 5 sons. Through illegal activities, Atiq amassed a fortune worth billions of rupees. His reign of terror was such that when a man named Ashok Sahu unknowingly overtook Atiq's brother Ashraf's car, Ashok Sahu was brutally murdered. His hooliganism continued openly, but a few years later, in 2002, he received a major setback when Mayawati became the chief minister of Uttar Pradesh. She had not forgiven Atiq Ahmed for the guest house incident and denied him a ticket from her party in the 2012 election. Atiq was a master at seizing opportunities. In 2003, when Mulayam Singh Yadav returned to power in Uttar Pradesh as chief minister, Atiq left the Apna Dal and once again joined hands with the SP. The Lok Sabha elections were scheduled for 2004. Atiq expressed his desire to contest the Lok Sabha elections from Mulayam Singh's Phulpur seat, and he was granted a ticket. This was no ordinary seat. It had been held by 2 former prime ministers, Jawaharlal Nehru and V.P. Singh, who had gone on to become prime ministers of India after winning from there. However, circumstances changed, and the people of Phulpur elected a notorious criminal like Atiq Ahmed to parliament. Since one candidate cannot simultaneously hold both MLA and MP positions, Atiq vacated his Allahabad West MLA seat. This prompted 2 by-elections, and Atiq fielded his younger brother, Ashraf, from the Allahabad West constituency. Atiq believed it would be an easy win for his brother, given his own 5-time MLA record. But the election result was the opposite. Raju Pal, contesting on a BSP ticket, defeated Ashraf by 4,000 votes. Raju Pal had once been an associate of Atiq Ahmed but had since started his own criminal activities, facing many allegations of crime. Before the election, Raju Pal had challenged Atiq, warning that if he lost, chaos would ensue. Atiq could not accept this defeat and the threat from Raju Pal, as these 2 events signaled his diminishing power. A month after the election results, Atiq Ahmed began launching attacks on Raju Pal, but Pal narrowly escaped each time. Raju Pal, happy with his victory, married Pooja Pal on January 16, 2005. But Pooja's bridal henna had barely dried when, just 9 days after their marriage, on Republic Day, Atiq's goons shot Raju Pal dead. 2 of Raju Pal's colleagues were also killed in the attack. Raju Pal's wife, Pooja Pal, filed a case against Atiq Ahmed, his brother, and 9 of his associates at Dumanganj police station for her husband's murder. However, Pooja Pal could not get justice. Due to Atiq Ahmed's fear, all witnesses in the case refused to testify. Even Raju Pal's relatives and the main witness, Umesh Pal, recanted their statements, telling the court they saw nothing. Because the Samajwadi Party was in power in Uttar Pradesh at the time, and Atiq was an MP from the same party, the police turned a blind eye, and the case slowly faded. After Raju Pal's death, the seat became vacant, necessitating another election. This time, the BSP gave a ticket to Raju Pal's widow, Pooja Pal. But Ashraf played his cards right and won, becoming an MLA. Now Atiq Ahmed had consolidated his power. On one hand, he was a member of parliament, on the other, his brother was an MLA. Crucially, his party was in power in Uttar Pradesh. All these factors made Atiq even more formidable. Instead of going to court, people would bring their problems to him, and he would dispense justice like a king. In this way, Atiq Ahmed ran a parallel government in Allahabad for a long time. But in 2007, he received his biggest shock. That year, 2 significant changes occurred in Uttar Pradesh. In the assembly elections, Mayawati secured a victory on her own strength, winning 206 seats and becoming the chief minister. Simultaneously, from the Allahabad West constituency, Pooja Pal handed a crushing defeat to Ashraf. That is when the countdown to Atiq's downfall began. Now, his brother was neither a politician, nor was there a government of his choice in Uttar Pradesh to overlook his nefarious activities. With Mayawati's return to power, Umesh Pal regained his courage. Upon arriving at the police station, he filed a plea against Atiq and his brothers. He claimed that Atiq had abducted him and handed him a written note stating, "Memorize this, you must give this exact statement in court, or else I will chop you limb by limb and feed you to the dogs." Subsequently, Atiq also threatened to kill his family. Consequently, he was initially compelled to alter his statement. First came the accusation regarding the murder of Raju Pal, followed by the charge of kidnapping Umesh Pal. Due to these 2 cases, the threat of arrest began to loom over Atiq Ahmed, despite his status as a member of parliament. Disturbed by this turn of events, Atiq went underground. However, the police soon tracked Atiq Ahmed down in Delhi and, pending the court's verdict, arrested him and incarcerated him in a prison in Uttar Pradesh. Atiq Ahmed was in jail but was still a respected Lok Sabha MP. During this time, Manmohan Singh's central government was dealing with America on nuclear issues. But due to the uproar of the opposition in parliament, a vote of confidence was called. The decision was to be made whether there would be a nuclear deal with America or not. At that time, Congress had only 228 members, 44 short of a majority. So, Congress sought help from other parties, including the Samajwadi Party. In this way, Congress secured the release of 6 jailed MPs, including Atiq Ahmed, to vote in parliament. The Samajwadi Party's clear instruction was to vote in favor of the nuclear deal in support of the Congress government. But surprisingly, Atiq Ahmed defied his party's directive. Many feared him because, despite facing over 200 cases of murder, kidnapping, robbery, and looting, none of these charges could ever be proven in court. No one dared to testify against Atiq. His influence was so great that when Atiq Ahmed filed a petition in the Allahabad High Court for bail to campaign in the 2012 elections, judges refused to hear his case. They feared that if they ruled against Atiq, they and their families would face retribution. Not just 1 or 2, but a full 10 judges recused themselves from hearing the case, citing personal reasons. And when the 11th judge finally heard the matter, he was compelled to rule in Atiq Ahmed's favor, and bail was granted to him. However, even after being released on bail, his losing streak persisted into 2012, when Pooja Pal once again defeated him in the Allahabad West constituency. The wife of the very man Atiq had murdered to preserve his dominance had now become a thorn in his side, someone who had defeated first his brother, and now Atiq himself, on the electoral battlefield. Following a series of electoral defeats, Atiq had come to fully realize that politics was no longer within his grasp. Consequently, he once again began attempting to cultivate his old Robin Hood persona. Whenever he was released from jail on bail, he would hold court at his hideout, lending an ear to people's grievances. In 2016, the Supreme Court transferred the Raju Pal murder case to the CBI, yet, even after this development, Atiq Ahmed's reign of hooliganism remained unchecked. In December 2016, two students from Sam Higginbottom University of Agriculture came to him with a complaint that they were barred from taking an exam after the college caught them red-handed cheating. Since Atiq had a habit of interfering in every matter, he reached the college with his goons, armed with weapons, and beat up the teachers and staff there. Someone made a video of this entire incident and made it viral on the internet. But even after this, Atiq was not scared of the police, and on December 22, 2016, with 320 vehicles, he reached Kanpur from Prayagraj, where a gate was made for his welcome, and the streets were decorated with flowers. This spectacle drew heavy criticism for the then Chief Minister, Akhilesh Yadav, and Atiq was arrested in February 2017 and imprisoned. Later, Akhilesh Yadav did not even give Atiq a ticket from his party, to which Atiq famously commented, "I have won as an independent many times, if my ticket is denied, so be it. I will create my own path to victory." A month after Atiq went to jail, the BJP won the election, securing 17 seats in Uttar Pradesh. Yogi Adityanath was made the Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh, and he immediately began to crack down on the mafia. But despite that, Atiq did not stop his criminal activities and operated his network from the prison itself. During this time, Atiq's three sons, Umar, Ali, and Asad, had also entered the world of crime, following in their father's footsteps. Atiq was locked in Deoria jail, about 300 kilometers away from his area, in an attempt to curb his criminal activities. But his hooliganism persisted. In December 2018, Atiq's son, Umar, kidnapped a Lucknow businessman, Mohit Jaiswal, and took him straight to Deoria jail, where Atiq was held. Atiq Ahmed brutally beat Mohit Jaiswal in jail with a stick and an iron rod, forcing him to sign papers and seizing property worth over 450 million rupees. Not only that, Atiq also made a video of the beating and made it viral on social media. A case of kidnapping and assault was filed against his son, Umar, and many of his associates. This case was so significant that the Supreme Court had to intervene. The Supreme Court felt that despite being locked up in a jail, Atiq's criminal activities were not being stopped. Therefore, the Supreme Court ordered him to be sent to Sabarmati jail in Gujarat in April 2019. After being removed from Uttar Pradesh, his grip began to weaken. Just as he had betrayed his mentor Chand Baba, now his own people were turning against him. Police intensified investigations in more than 50 cases against him. With this, many of his illegal properties were bulldozed and seized, and his assets worth billions of rupees were confiscated. While the Uttar Pradesh police were systematically dismantling his empire, Umesh Pal, the main witness in the Raju Pal murder case, kept changing his statement, and the CBI did not even consider his testimony. But despite this, on February 24, 2023, Asad, along with his associates, bombed Umesh Pal's car in the Dumanganj area of Prayagraj and killed him by firing indiscriminately. At the time of Umesh's murder, his elderly mother was also present, who later became the main witness in that case. Following the framing of charges by the CBI in the murder of Raju Pal, the subsequent killing of Umesh Pal, a witness in the very same case, exposed the glaring flaws within Uttar Pradesh's policing system, mounting immense pressure on the state government to take immediate action. One day after this assassination, Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath stated in the Legislative Assembly, "These mafias, these criminals, we will grind them into the dust as soon as possible." The CCTV video of the Umesh Pal murder soon went viral, in which Atiq's third son, Asad, was seen throwing bullets and bombs at Umesh Pal's car with his 6 associates. In response, the UP police immediately took action. 2 days after Yogi Adityanath's statement, police encountered Arbaz in Nehru Park, Prayagraj, on February 27. On March 6, Usman was also killed, and the remaining 5 accused were caught red-handed. Meanwhile, Atiq Ahmed was found guilty of kidnapping Umesh Pal and sentenced to life imprisonment on March 28, 2023. This was the first time Atiq was found guilty in any case. In the meantime, Atiq Ahmed and Ashraf Ahmed were brought to Prayagraj's Naini Central Jail in connection with the Umesh Pal murder case. During this period, Atiq Ahmed made many significant statements to the police. He claimed he never had a shortage of weapons because his network extended across the border to Pakistan. He admitted to being in direct contact with the Pakistani terrorist organization Lashkar-e-Taiba and their intelligence agency, ISI. He told the police that he communicated directly with Pakistan through drones, which transported items that Punjab's local networks would collect and then deliver, some to terrorists in Kashmir and others to him. While Atiq was making one revelation after another from inside the jail, the police, on the outside, were systematically eliminating his associates. On April 13, 2023, the police killed Atiq's son, Asad Ahmed, and his criminal associate, Ghulam, in an encounter in Jhansi. Atiq Ahmed asked for permission from the court to attend his son's funeral, but his request was denied. At one point in Atiq's career, judges were afraid to hear his case, and now his condition was such that he was not even allowed to attend his son's funeral. By then, he and his brother were serving life sentences, his two other sons were behind bars, his third son had been killed in an encounter, his associates had been apprehended or eliminated, and his property worth billions of rupees had been seized by the UP government. Seeing his dire situation, Atiq attempted to write to the Supreme Court. But in the media scrum, 3 shooters named Lavlesh Tiwari, Mohit, and Arun Maurya, disguised as journalists, suddenly approached both brothers and shot them, killing Atiq Ahmed and Ashraf Ahmed on the spot. In this way, Atiq Ahmed, who had become a festering wound for Uttar Pradesh, met his end. But the surprising thing was that the 3 shooters who killed Atiq and his brother did not try to escape and surrendered to the police. When asked about their motive, all 3 stated that they wanted to make a big name for themselves in the world of crime, which is why they killed Atiq and Ashraf. However, police investigations revealed many shocking facts. All 3 shooters belonged to different cities of UP, and until just a few days ago, they had absolutely no contact with each other. Then, how did the 3 of them suddenly come together? All 3 shooters were in dire financial straits, yet, where did they acquire expensive Zagana pistols worth hundreds of thousands of rupees? This raised the question, did they truly hatch the conspiracy to assassinate Atiq and Ashraf on their own, or was there a hand involved, perhaps that of influential figures within the corridors of power or the police? This suspicion is further fueled by the fact that the family members of all 3 assassins made no attempt to come to their aid. To this day, all 3 remain incarcerated in a UP jail. Even now, the UP police remain actively engaged in the search for Atiq Ahmed's absconding family members. Out of the 110 billion rupee empire amassed by Atiq through criminal means, assets worth 30 billion rupees have already been seized, and the demolition of his remaining properties using bulldozers is currently underway. In this context, the saga of Atiq Ahmed serves as a stark reminder that the path of crime never leads to a good end. Sooner or later, even if justice is delayed, the law inevitably tightens its grip on criminals, and it does not relent until their ultimate downfall.